ask you something. Why do you? I love you. I love this. I love because of this. Wait, this is just a coincidence. Yeah. Because he started laughing because you started laughing because I don't know. Let's play house, but if my friend calls me mom, he was making this. That doesn't sound very romantic. Yeah, it's like let's play house, so the guy is in the house. But if JJ calls you Dash, I will hurt him. But other than that, what? No, I'm not reading a story. It's not smart, it's nice. I mean, it's really smart, bro. Hi. 23. Wonderful attendance of staggering 3 people today.
So we'll not do the class?
Yes, definitely I'm going to do. What is
I
wrong
thought
with
that
Bhagya?
3 students are just to
No, that doesn't happen. I sat here for 2 hours alone. I know what it is. No, we are going to learn political science, no? Today? History that lesson we have completed.
No ma'am, you have been completed.
Yeah, no, it's not completed. Yes, Holocaust.
Ma'am.
We just reached the topic we hadn't completed. No, Holocaust we have talked about. The Mahatma Gandhi का letter के बारे में बताया.
Ma'am, I was absent, so can you
Mahatma Gandhi का letter बताया. I don't remember. You don't remember? I'm pretty sure you went to that. You have to start with ordinary people and crime.
That day when I went in between.
I told about that poetry which was written by that. I completed and then you just that 45 you left.
Yeah.
Constitutional design. Hey, रुकना 2 minutes. Ma'am, can we do people as a resource and constitutional design?
No, people as resource बहुत fast chapter.
That is economics. We have to do constitutional design. Yes. I have 4 chapters for my exams.
Ma'am, can
Yeah,
you
that is eco. Why the plan teach eco?
Ma'am, can you
Sorry,
electoral politics?
No. Electoral politics is not coming for you. It's coming for me.
Ma'am, it's coming. Like my exam is done, but for
What
the
and
next
democracy and constitutional design? No, my electoral is coming for my this exam, which is on 5th. Mine's on 3rd. Third. Which lesson? What and democracy and constitutional design. We have what and democracy, constitutional design, and electoral. What do you call it? We have to take an extra class.
I will teach anything.
No, I don't have any problem.
My exam is done, so you can go with any chapter.
So constitutional design. What for that? Yeah. What and democracy. Done. उसका summary छोटा सा दिया था मैम ने मेरे एग्जाम के पहले. Start with constitutional design. Constitutional design. What is constitution?
A set of rules which are followed by the people or which is given by the government.
That is given by the law. Written down rules and regulations according to which the country is governed. I think it's really easy. It's really cool. Yes, it's very cool.
Then please sit on.
You come. Can you please not do that?
So can you just sit behind?
No, shut up. My hands
So
are
where should I go?
cold, bro. Really? Yeah. That's a you problem. Come on. Aditi, but that's a him problem.
ऐसा नहीं है bro. देखो हर time.
Mom, can you turn off the AC? So irritating, huh? The remote is there. Mom, the remote is this side. Mom. It is this side. That. Cold, bro.
So man, दो पे यार.
अरे please wait.
तो आगे बैठो.
आगे और ठंडा.
ठीक है मैं आगे बैठूंगा तो AC चलेगी.
बंद रहे.
फैन चलेगा.
आगे का फैन चलेगा.
क्यों आगे का चलेगा?
पीछे का फैन चला तो आगे क्यों बैठेगा? क्या बेवकूफी है?
मैं इधर बैठूंगा.
You just come forward.
No,
it is very cold there.
No. AC बंद है ना.
Yes. It is worse there. That's exactly why I picked out the sweet spot and sit here all day.
No, for him. That let him have that fan. You just.
It is easier if one person sits in front rather than moving the entire class over.
So where are you going?
We are sitting in the back so that he can turn on the आगे का fan.
That switch off still that it is on.
ब्लूटूथ अच्छे से बंद नहीं किया उसको 2 सेकंड के लिए प्रेस करना पड़ता है वो पावर बटन ऑन हुआ वापस दबा 2 सेकंड तक हाँ हो गया
हाँ
ऐसा ही होता है
नहीं मेरे घर पे से अलग No ma'am, not the fan ma'am. I'm not the teacher. I'm not the fan ma'am. Please.
Ma'am, let them sit ahead now.
You go ahead. You go ahead. You're the only person who needs it.
Every time I'll not sit ahead.
He's the only person who needs the fan. He should sit in front. I just came ma'am. Both of you just keep.
Ma'am, last lecture also they say ma'am always I have stuff.
Yeah. Ma'am, it's no cold over there.
अरे but यहाँ तो फैन चल रहा है ना
Your mobile. Yeah, just keep it. That's fine.
हाँ.
I thought you were asking Asha, so yeah, that's fine. Food is over there only. Yes, ma'am.
हाँ लो मेरे फोन ही टूट गई इसको क्या रखा सो कुछ नहीं है
No. Whatever is now after some time that can be on. This one you.
After 20-25 minutes please switch on the AC.
You just first focus. Fan I will.
आगे वाला fan.
पीछे वाला मैं रुक रहा हूँ ना अभी 20-25
हाँ ठीक है.
You listen. Say what is that constitution? You just try telling me.
Set of rules that are laid for the government and the people of the country. Laid for the government and the people to be followed.
See, constitution is a set of rules according to which the country is governed. See, in the school, in the society, wherever we are living, there are certain rules. In your family also, that is time to come, time to go, or whatever to be done. There are some kind of small or big restrictions or rules. So, as far as the country is concerned, many rules are required. Understood? So, all these rules have to be written down. Then only the country can function properly. That is why it is called a written down sets of rules. Rules and regulation is also there. Not only rules and regulations. Now, in this lesson, the beginning part, you can see about some pictures and some words. Have you seen this word apartheid?
Yes.
What is
Racial
apartheid?
discrimination. Racial discrimination.
Yes, you just come. Are you interested in this thing? Seeing or making that one, watching that video type? Yes, come through. That will be walking also.
Yes, we did.
You just apartheid. Don't remove that one, no?
Ma'am, nothing happens. Or take a screen
See,
present.
online.
Screen present.
No. Yes. Now, this policy was followed by the white minority. White minority, who were that white minority?
The ruling.
So the people who came, that is in the first lesson of history we have learned that the Europeans who came for trade purpose and settled on the coast. Those people. Okay. So they were very much minority. This minority followed the policy of segregation. What is it? Policy of segregation. That policy was very brutal because you imagine very small number of people and they were ruling over the majority. So one party was formed which was known as ANC, African National Congress. What was the party? African National Congress, under the leadership of Nelson Mandela. Okay, who was the leader? Nelson Mandela. So this person and the African National Congress, they fought against this injustice. The region was divided into white area and the black area. And black people were not allowed to enter into the white area. They were not allowed to enter the churches. They were not allowed to use the train. So much restrictions were made on them. Now the movement started under the leadership of Nelson Mandela in 1960. 60s means earlier onwards it was there, and in 1964 he was imprisoned. And after 28 years only he was released. In between, so much protest movements from all over the world had taken place. India was also one of the leading country which worked against that, because you know that Gandhiji was there, he participated in that movement, and like that, after that, when India got independence, India supported all the African nations to win their independence. Here also we can see. So what happened? As a result of all these protests, Africa got independence in 1994. Okay. So they made a constitution. That is why it is important. What was the peculiarity of the constitution they made?
They included the white minorities.
Yes.
That's why it is called the Rainbow Constitution.
Rainbow. So what is a Rainbow Nation?
Yeah.
The binding glue of the Rainbow Nation. Understood? So Rainbow Nation, why it is called? Why that country is called the Rainbow Nation?
It's all color people are that's why.
Yes, that is also there. And it is the end country or the last country. Understood? So that country, they decided in one way, we will all work together. While discussing how to make or how to be our future constitution, they allowed the whites also to be the part of it. That is why the Constitution of South Africa is important. So they accommodated the whites in the administration also. They did not show any kind of enmity towards those people who suppress them. This is what the background. Clear? Now, when why do we need a constitution? Yes, you just take your book and tell me that is what. Why do we need a constitution? 4 points are there.
Like read it or
Yes.
Okay. So first, it generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kinds of people to live together.
That is page 90. 19.
90.
So it generates a degree of trust and coordination.
Second, it specifies how the government will be constituted, who will have power to take which decision.
So it is giving a kind how the government should be formed, who will govern, how they are constituted. So this is what the second. Yeah. Third.
It lays down limits on the powers of the government and tells us what the rights of the citizens are.
So powers of the government are distributed. Have you heard about executive, legislature, and judiciary? So this demarcation is very clearly made, and the citizens are given rights.
Fourth, it expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society.
So it is a kind of desire of the people, that how our country should be. So it is a future prospect of our country, how it should look like. So these all things are included in the constitution. So we need a constitution. Got it? Now, Indian constitution, how it is made.
Making of the Indian constitution. Difficult circumstances like South Africa. India's constitution was also drawn up under very difficult circumstances. The making of the constitution for a huge and diverse country like India was not an easy affair. At that time, the people of India were emerging from the status of subjects to that of citizens. The country was born through a partition on the basis of religious differences. This was a traumatic experience for the people of India and Pakistan. The British had left it to the rulers of the princely states to decide whether they wanted to merge with India or with Pakistan or remain independent. The merger of these princely states was a difficult and uncertain task. Like South Africa, India had also to fight the imperialistic powers for a long time. After a good deal of efforts, the demand for drawing a new constitution in India was acceded to by Britishers in 1946, a year before the independence of the country in 1945.
See, it came as a result of lot of difficult path. We have gone through so much difficulties. We know that we were under British rule and the struggle against that British rule. All those things are briefly mentioned over. So no need to go back to discuss all those experiences. But once we got independence, 1947, it was a very sad event. Why it is a sad event? Divided into two nations. We worked together as one, and it was a bloody division. So that is what that part there is no need. Now, next is Part 2 Constitution.
The Part 2 Constitution. Despite all these difficulties, there was a one big advantage for the makers of the Indian Constitution. Unlike South Africa, they did not have to create a consensus about what a democratic India should look like. Much of these consensus had evolved during the freedom struggle. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics. Despite sharp differences of opinion within the freedom struggle about the path India should take after independence, some basic ideas has come to be accepted by almost everyone. In 1928, Motilal Nehru and eight other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. In 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. Both these documents were committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise, right to freedom and equality, and to protecting the rights of minorities in the Constitution of Independent India. Thus, some basic values were accepted by all leaders much before the Constituent Assembly met to deliberate on the Constitution. The familiarity with political institution of colonial rule also helped develop an agreement over the institutional design. Elections were held in 1937 to provisional legislatures and ministers all over British India. These were not fully democratic governments, but the experience gained by Indians in the working of the legislative institution proved to be very useful. Years of thinking and deliberation on the framework of constitution had another benefit. Our leaders gained confidence to learn from the other countries but on our own terms. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and Bill of Rights in the US. The socialist revolution in Russia had inspired many Indians to think of shaping a system based on social and economic equality. Yet they were not simply imitating what others had done. At each step, they were questioning whether these things suited our country. All these factors contributed to the making of a constitution.
Yes. See, it did not come all of a sudden. It was as a result of continuous effort. During the freedom struggle, we worked together, and that time itself different ideas came. So each and every method of agitation, you have heard about non-violent,
Quit India.
yes, all those movements were having some ideologies, and that ideologies were included. So freedom struggle was a lesson before them to make a constitution. And while these movements were going on in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 others, they made a draft of the constitution. What should be included in our future constitution? Because India started celebrating independence before getting independence itself. So that is why they made a draft constitution in 1928. Now, afterwards in 1931, Karachi session of Congress, they made what all points to be included in our future constitution. That is called the Karachi resolution. What is that? Fundamental rights. Like that, main principles which were to be included in our constitution were made in 1931 Karachi resolution. Now, during these all things, the fundamental idea of universal adult franchise. We have studied about the French Revolution, that many people did not get voting right.
Yeah.
So then different stages of it. But the women got voting right very late in 1948 only. So that much long time they had to wait for it. So when India was struggling for their independence, they decided that their future constitution should be based on universal adult franchise. Got it? Then afterwards, in 1937, elections to the provincial councils were held. That is Act of 1935. Based on that, elections were held and all provinces governments were formed. It was not exactly based on that universal adult franchise. The reservations for this class, that class, princely sections, richer, what is that? Traders and merchants. So, like that, it was not based on universal adult franchise, but provincial governments were formed. So, that is what happened in 1937. Okay, still it was an experience. India got an opportunity to understand what democratic governments are doing. Now, afterwards, India decided that many of the countries' constitutions have good features. We should adopt all these good features. For example, fundamental right, directive principles, then equality, liberty, fraternity, these ideas, then socialism, all these good ideas.
Socialism widely disliked by people in the Western region.
But we did not blindly adopt that communist ideology.
Yeah.
We included that socialism. Socialism means it is having that equal voting for richer as well as the poor people. Understood? Economic equality is the basis of socialism here.
So not the communist government. India did not adopt for that. It adopted for the socialist aspect of the.
Yes, that is what. So that way, what is that? Is socialism from Russian Revolution, French Revolution's ideologies, American War of Independence, then Irish Constitution, like that. All the good features were collected and combined. And in 1946, Britain told you form a constituent assembly to frame the constitution. That time, India got vast knowledge what all things to be included. That is what the next step. So this points, if you want, you can take down. That is 1928, 1931, then universal adult franchise.
Yeah, all of this is in the textbook. I've already underlined.
Underlined, no? So that points to be focused on. Okay. Now next, Constituent Assembly you started.
Me? The Constituent Assembly, the drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly.
So what is Constituent Assembly?
It is document.
It is an assembly of people who are drafting the document of the Constitution.
Assembly of elected representative. That is what a very important word to be focused. Okay, elected representative to frame the constitution. So he told that is to draft the constitution. So the task is to draft the constitution. Okay, so that definition you have to.
Composition of the Constitution. The Constituent Assembly was constituted in July 1946 under the provision of this Cabinet Mission Plan. This assembly had 389 members.
Cabinet Mission Plan. In short, I will tell you. See, in Britain, after the Second World War, the government changed. The new government was headed by Clement Attlee. So he was in favor of giving independence. So that is why he appointed a committee of ministers to India. That committee is called a Cabinet Mission. Understood? Cabinet ministers were the members. And that Cabinet Mission only suggested for the formation of Constituent Assembly. When was it? July 1946. Got it clear?
This assembly had 389 members in
how many members? 389 members.
Mostly elected by the provincial assemblies and some nominated by the rulers of the native states. Its first meeting was held in December 1946.
It was constituted in July 1946 and the first meeting was held in December 1946. Okay.
Soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. As a result of the partition of the country, its meeting membership was reduced to 308 in 1947. However, this assembly represented people of all shades and opinion, religions and communities. The Constituent Assembly that wrote Indian Constitution had 299 members. It included eminent persons like Rajendra Prasad, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, Maulana Azad, Dr. Ambedkar, K.M. Manushi, Rajgopalachari, Dr. H.C. Mukherjee, Frank Anthony, H.P. Modi, Sardar Hukum Singh, Sardar Baldev Singh and many more.
Yes, listen. First, how many members were there?
89.
289.
No, 389. 389. Then immediately when the partition was implemented, it was 308. The rest of the members went to Pakistan to frame their constitution. Now, the actual work was done by how many members? 299. Okay.
Thus, the Constituent Assembly represented the people of all castes and creeds besides the Hindus, the Muslims, and the Sikhs. There were Christians and Christians parties, etc. Women members like Sarojini Naidu, Durgabai Deshmukh, and Renuka Rai also played an important role in the Constituent Assembly. In short, the Constituent Assembly was the mirror of the nation.
Why it is called as a mirror of nation? It represents all caste, all regions and all. Okay. Now you.
It's on the easy or something.
Fine.
It's okay.
Yes, you read.
Framing the Constitution, the Constituent Assembly worked under Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its president.
Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Have you underlined all this thing?
Underline the years, the people, everything.
Yes, it is very important. 1 mark purpose. No. Yes. So one more thing. Monday you are having class.
Yes.
Which
No, not Monday.
Maths and
नहीं Monday छुट्टी है ना
No, Gandhi है.
स्कूल में नहीं है इधर.
हाँ छुट्टी है.
यहाँ पे नहीं.
हाँ टाइम टेबल में नहीं था.
check किया कि नहीं किया?
किया था मैं याद नहीं but I guess
No.
Usually they keep like they don't know that is
or it's early.
So your exam, your social का exam is on 3rd Tuesday. 3rd. Okay.
On 29 August 1947, the Constituent Assembly appointed a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Ambedkar, one of the prominent intellectuals of the country.
So who was the drafting committee chairman?
Dr. Ambedkar.
Dr. B.R. So that see the chairman, the president of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Drafting committee chairman was
Dr. Ambedkar.
When he was appointed 29 August 1947.
After a period of about 6 months, the committee prepared a draft constitution of India by February 1948. The Indian people were provided enough time to study and express their views on the draft constitution.
So when was the draft constitution published? February 1948.
Why shouldn't he move? He's the only person that has to move.
I am also not the same. My voice also will be.
The Constituent Assembly met in November 1948 to consider the provisions of the drafting committee clause by clause.
What is the meaning of clause by
Every
clause?
sentence.
Word by word we are telling.
This work of second reading of different clauses was completed by 17 October 1948.
So it was called a second reading. First reading was the introduction. Introduction means submitting it to the public. So that is called a first reading. Second reading is clause by clause discussion. These terms you have to remember. That is in a parliament when the bills have to be passed. This one is there. First reading is introduction of the bill. Second is that a clause by clause discussion. We are having one lesson. That time you have to remember. Okay.
We have to, follow the same procedure of multiple readings in the model United Nations debates that I go to.
You participated.
Yeah. So basically, we have to introduce a bill in the beginning of the committee on day 1, and then we'll have to ask about a discussion near the end of the committee. Then the next day for day 2, we'll have to see if people vote for or against the bill that we have promoted. It can be against a particular person in the committee, or it can be against, or it can be for something you want to bring about, any change you want to bring, any bill you want to pass.
See, it is United Nations. So, what topic you have taken? Means it was related to the matters of India.
No, we also have Lok Sabha committee in modern United Nations.
Okay.
It depends. So if you want to join Lok Sabha, you join Lok Sabha. If you want to join AIPPOM, you do that. If you want to do AIPPM, you can do that. It's all India opposition parties meet, all India political parties meet. It's a very good experience overall.
Okay. You participated in.
I participate in them regularly.
Also. So, what topic you were in favor or against?
I was a member of the Mizo Front. I was C. Lal Sangha, a prominent politician these days particularly, and I was against BJP in the agenda of the Manipur violence.
So, how did you get the points to discuss?
We are given a brochure, and with that brochure, we understand the basic idea of the agenda, and then we research about it ourselves. But mainly the fun part is that we get to replicate, we get to act like politicians, we get to do the whole procedure of the Lok Sabha. We have a speaker. It's a very good, wonderful.
That nowadays it is made as a compulsory part of study.
Yeah.
So you get to know about the real experience. So than learning from that the theoretical part from the textbook, you get a real experience. So you go out of this thing.
Yeah.
Because we are bounded within the textbook, so you can go out of it and get to know more things. So 10th standard, just now I was teaching about political parties and all. So about the parliament also, that child is not doing. So I just showed that parliament how it is functioning. That is for 5 minutes. That Rajya Sabha I have shown you. So this is what the modern day the children are not knowing. They are watching so many other things, but they don't have the time to watch what is the real. Okay, got to know, no? Next.
Then we had the third reading to give a final shape to the Constitution, which was adopted on November 26, 1949.
So what is that? Third reading. Third reading is voting. In the Parliament, third reading is voting. So that one is on November 26, 1949. Okay. Because 1948 February it was submitted for the public. Then the discussion started. After the discussion, it was put to vote. Amendments, no, that is the discussions that had taken place in the Constituent Assembly were made into 12 big volumes.
Yeah.
That is what used for reference. Only the discussion part were made in 12 big volumes. So, how far-sighted those people were. So, they have foreseen what would happen in future. That is why our constitution is a great document. Yes, this date I just kept it for.
It then received the signatures of the president and was declared as passed.
So final is that getting the signature or assent of the president. That term is assent of the president. So that time India was not having the president, but the president of the Constituent Assembly was there. So president's assent was taken.
Thus, it took about 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to prepare.
So, how many actual days? 2 years?
11 months, 18 days.
No, 11 months, no? 11 months and 18 days.
Mom, can I use the washroom quickly?
Yes, let's go. It is very cold in here.
Constitution of Free India, but actually the Constituent Assembly only met for 140 days.
How many days actually it meant? It is started in 1946 December, and the work is completed on November 26, 1949. That way, when we are taking, it's almost 3 years. And that is why 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. But actual meetings were held for 114 days. These all things for 1 mark purpose you have to keep in mind. There.
Second
The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 29th November 1949. 26 November 1949, but it came into effect on January 26, 1950. To mark this day, we celebrate January 26 as Republic Day of the year.
What is the reason? We adopted it on
26 November 1949.
This one, January 26, 1950. Implemented it on January 26, 1950. Why? The Constitution prepared and completed by 1949, November 26. But why we delayed it for implementing it?
Awareness?
No. Do you have any idea?
I think that on January 26th, there's something already there on January 26th. I think they wanted to match the dates. I don't remember. Some person's birthday.
No, it is not a person's birthday. 1929, Indian National Congress meeting was held at Lahore session of the Congress. They have taken certain decisions. That is, one of the decision was Purna Swaraj will be our Purna Swaraj, or complete independence will be our aim. And next thing is that we will celebrate Independence Day on 26th January 1930. So we did not get independence, but India decided to celebrate Independence Day. So the first Independence Day was celebrated on 1930 January 26th. From then onwards, every year we were celebrating Independence Day on 26th January. Got it? Before getting independence, we were celebrating Independence Day. And even in 1947 also we celebrate. So we got independence on 15th August. So we cannot celebrate 2 days as Independence Day. So when India is becoming a republic, it would be celebrated as Republic Day. So they have decided that henceforth in 1950, January 6th will be decided for adopting or implementing that constitution. Understood that? Because we did not have a president. A republic's head is the president. So we did not have a president. But according to the Mountbatten plan and all, there was an interim government for the transfer of power. That was formed. But a president we did not have. So the whole thing requires some time. So they decided that this day would be the day for making it a republic. Understood?
Why should we accept the constitution made by this assembly more than 50 years ago? The constitution was framed with the consensus of all the leaders.
So first thing, India celebrated its independence for 75 years. that the constitution was made, that is almost that many years. Why we should adopt a constitution which is made that 75 years back or 80 years?
Amendments.
It is made of consensus of different sections. Understood? All the people agreed to accept it. That is what the first reason. Next.
Thus, some basic values were accepted by all leaders much before the Constituent Assembly met to deliberate on the Constitution.
So, before that the Constitution is introduced, they have agreed on certain matters.
The Constitution does not reflect the views of its members alone.
So, it is not representing the views of its members only. It was the representation of the views of section of people. All sections were included, no? So that all sections supported it.
It expresses a broad consensus of its time.
Like already we have seen.
The legitimacy of the Constitution is unquestionable.
The legal status. Legitimacy means legal status or legality, because it is not made by somebody else. It was made by a constituent assembly which was elected and formed. So it is a legal framework. So it cannot be questioned. Understood? If it was made by somebody else who have no support, so then it is not acceptable. It is not having legal status. Okay.
This is an unusual achievement for any constitution. The second reason for accepting the constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly.
These all things we have discussed simultaneously.
There was no universal adult franchise in that time.
So this is the question. Okay. So Constituent Assembly, how it was formed? It was not formed through direct election. Universal adult franchise was not there. But still, what they have done?
So the Constituent Assembly was elected indirectly, mainly by the members of the existing provisional legislatures.
So that earlier provincial legislatures were formed. They have elected the members to the Constituent Assembly. Okay, that is why indirectly it is an elected assembly.
This ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country.
So from all the regions the people are represented, because provinces are formed, provinces represented, and those regions which were not having that provinces, that people were nominated. So everyone got representation.
The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. But the Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. The assembly had many members who did not agree with the Congress.
See, we have studied about one group from the Indian National Congress, those who are having socialist ideas. Means then another group, they were the youth. They were very proactive there. So every sections were included in it. They did not blindly accept what was done. There were criticisms, there were opposition. So everything were taken place within the Constituent Assembly. Then only it was made.
In social terms too, the assembly represented members from different language groups, caste, classes, religions, and occupations. Finally, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution.
See, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked. That is given sanctity. What is the meaning of sanctity? Sanctity means that holy place is there. See, Parliament House is getting a value that it is making the laws for the country. So that importance is given. So holy place means everyone will not go like that. When the people are going through the roads, they will not enter and go to the sanctum sanctorum. So that kind of sanctity or that kind of value is given to that.
The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open and consensual manner.
This is also another important point. So here 5 points we have seen. Understood? All that 5 points to be represented when such a question is asked. Why we are accepting the constitution even after this many years. Okay.
First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then a drafting committee chaired by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussion took place on the draft constitution clause by clause. More than 2,000 amendments were considered.
How many amendments were considered? 2,000 amendments were considered.
The members deliberated for 114 days spread over 3 years. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates.
See, now also when there is a doubt, that is taken for reference purpose. So that is why it is having the value.
These debates provide a rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution.
Okay? Got it. Mobiles to be taken.